What's up, everyone? Welcome to Fantasy Six Packs Stats You Need to Know, Week 5 edition. I'm your host, Keith Flemming, joined by one of my favorite people on God's green earth, Kacey Kasem. What's going on, Kacey?
Just happy to be chilling with you, my homie, and getting to talk some fun stats and get into the thick of it.
Bond over rooting
Bond.
for two crappy teams.
Yeah, we bond over that kind of stuff. Ties make me tired. What can I say? I don't know. Yes, we have been bonding over that. So
All
we
right,
will.
well, if we're going to be talking about our own teams
Yep.
here, if you don't mind, let me talk about mine for a minute
Yeah. Let's
because
go ahead.
uh, Falcons are going to Falcon. It's something that I've been saying now for almost 2 decades. Yikes. Yeah. But they did it again last Sunday. I don't understand. 7 days prior, 0 points against Carolina, who, by the way, gave up 42 points on Sunday. And then the Falcons this week looked as good as they have on offense since 2016, people. The year we went to the Super Bowl. We don't have to talk about the rest of that. But our boy Michael Penix, coming off just his worst game of his career, had his best, threw for 300 yards, completed 75% of his passes. But that's not who we need to give the love to. It's our boy, BijanRobinson, who is near and dear to all Falcons fans' hearts. Sunday, he joined Alvin Kamara in 2018 as the only running backs in the last decade to account for both 250 rushing yards and 250 receiving yards in just the first 4 games. He's the first back since Matt Forte, all the way back in 2011. Old fantasy heads remember Matt Forte, to have 300 rushing yards and 250 receiving yards. His his ridiculous 584 total yards from scrimmage in just the first 4 weeks puts him on a pace for 2,400 yards and 2,482 yards, which would be second all time. I have given the Falcons some crap, and I still think taking Jalen Carter would have been a better pick than BijanRobinson when you account for, how running backs usually wear down, how valuable interior linemen are. But I can't complain about it anymore. Like year 3 into this, the dude is so fun to watch. And
Yes.
I hope the rest of the world that does not, feel that like they should suffer through Falcons games gets to check him out because he's really, really good.
We'll do that then. Let's talk about some teams you might want to. Maybe we're not so happy about these, but you might want to pick on them. Let's
We're
find
gonna
out.
pick on the weak kids.
Let's pick on the weak kids. I was the weak kid that got picked on, so now it's my turn. With almost 25% of the season completed, it's probably a large enough sample size, right, for us to start picking on those guys. So let's go.
Absolutely.
Currently, there's 2 defenses who rank top 10 in passing yards allowed, rushing yards allowed, and points per game allowed. All right, drum roll. Brrr. Who are they? Yeah, it's Dallas. So we can talk about my team.
That was kind of messed up, Casey, that I put that in there now that I
And
think
Baltimore.
about it.
You know what? You talked about. You know what? It's okay. It is totally fine because you know what? Here's why it's fun to go up against these guys. Baltimore's currently giving up 33.3 points per game, 265.8 passing yards per game, and 9 passing touchdowns. Okay. Both third most allowed. And on top of that, 141.3 yards per game given up on the ground, 6th most. Oh, and additionally, 7 touchdowns allowed. Okay.
And everybody's
Rushing
hurt.
touchdowns.
They're like the Lions from last year. Everybody's now hurt.
And everybody, and then, yeah. And then,
Your boys.
and then someone's boys over here, not mine. No, okay, they're mine. Dallas is allowing 33 points per game, 297.3 passing yards per game allowed, and 10 passing touchdowns allowed, which is the most in the league, by the way, and 123.3 rushing yards per game allowed, 10th. Hello, 6 rushing touchdowns allowed, 3rd. So that tells you anything that you need to know right there in those little tidbits. Yeah.
Baltimore's giving up 33 points per game, and they've played Kansas City, who I know their offense looks a little better, but it's not like they're scoring points in bunches.
Mhm.
And they've also played Cleveland. So, yikes. That is a
Yikes.
lot
Yikes on
of
bikes.
points. And at least you guys, y'all have played 2 overtime games, right?
Yes,
So
2
that's
overtime
gonna
games. Yes, that
obviously
is. And,
account for the
and we
extra
love
yardage.
overtime football, and well, most of us that had guys going still that that needed
Went to
them.
a football game and a soccer match broke out. A tie. I don't know what that is.
Yes. Oh,
All right.
man.
So on the other side of the spectrum, there's only one team that is basically right now top 10 in all those categories. On the other side, where they've given up the least passing yards per game, least rushing yards per game, least points per games, it is the Los Angeles Rams. And it's even more impressive when you consider they've already played 3 offenses in the top 10 in the NFL in Tampa Bay, Philly, and everybody's favorite, the Indiana Jones-led Indianapolis Colts. If for some reason the Rams defense is available in your leagues, and I think it could be because it was in a couple of mine, their upcoming schedule: home for San Francisco, at Baltimore, but remember that may be without Lamar, Jags in London, and the Saints at home. And their schedule's pretty easy the rest of the way as well. So go get the Rams if they're out there. And it's pretty amazing to see what they've done just 2 years removed from Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defenders of all time, retiring. And their defense is really good again.
I'm gonna have to go check and see what's available if they're out there in my leagues, because I've been streaming defenses and not doing the greatest job at that. So
It's
thank
hard,
you,
man.
Okay, well, here's something that we discussed. We've discussed last week, and we're gonna discuss a little more. We discussed several running backs that weren't really at fault for their slow start to the season. All right, due to poor offensive line play, been happening. Heading into last week, Bucky Irving and Ashton Jeanty ranked first and second in percentage of runs where they were first contacted a yard or further behind the line of scrimmage.
Not good.
Nah. Both backs had monster performances in week 4.
We called it.
Yeah. But let's focus on Jeanty. Most of Bucky's damage was done in the air through the passing game. So Sunday, Jeanty turned 21 carries into 138 yards. Only
I watched most
16
of it.
yards. And you only 16 yards came before he was contacted by a defender. And that breakout game was overdue despite the poor offensive line play, thanks to him ranking second this season in tackles avoided and first in percentage of runs where he breaks the tackle. And then we've got some more encouraging news for everybody out there, for all the managers
That's
that
me.
roster this man. Yes, me too. Finally, we got what we wanted. After playing below 60% of the offensive snaps in week 2 and 3, he returned to his week 1 total of 85%. And an added bonus there, the highest percentage of routes run in the pass game.
Again, that's exactly why I love stats, because he looked awful, right?
Yeah.
And then last week, seeing that, he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage.
I know.
On basically every
you said
play.
that. I'm just like, yep.
It's like it makes sense.
Yep,
And
it
then,
makes sense.
all of a sudden he breaks a few extra tackles and just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Really sad stat.
Yep.
Man, you do not want to be at MetLife Stadium. It looks like MalikNabers tore his ACL. He would become the 8th notable player since 2020 to tear their ACL on that turf. This follows a very grim pattern for New York Giants, who, they play their home games, so do Jets at MetLife. They've drafted 6 either wide receivers or tight ends in the first 2 rounds of the draft since 2014. 5 of them have had a season-ending injury at MetLife. Just insane. To throw a fantasy slant to it, though, Neighbors' injury could make our boy Darius Slayton, who has won me some money in DFS 2 years ago when he had like this unbelievable heater down the street. Anyway, that's beyond the point. He'll be fantasy relevant, though, moving forward, because last year in weeks 5 and 6, when MalikNabers was not in the lineup, 29% target share, 56% air yard share, 36% of the first reads, and almost 90 yards per game. Now, we got to see what Jackson Dart is, but I kind of liked what I saw. I mean, I know they didn't ask him to do much, but he was able to push the ball down the field in college, and you would think they're going to give opportunities. And Slayton's going to be that guy because I mean, you look at it, we love Wandale Robinson. He
Yes.
can't do the same things Darius Slayton
Right.
can on a week in, week out basis. Don't you agree?
I'm just, that's a guy that's out there all on waivers. I'm about, if you've got that extra spot that you can afford, I'm about it. All right, here's another guy that you're not going to pick up off of waivers probably, but still a fun one for everybody out there. When we're talking about rookies, we've got EmekaEgbuka, and he is one of 8 rookies since 1970 to record 15 plus catches, 250 plus receiving yards,
Hello.
and 4 plus receiving touchdowns. 4 plus receiving touchdowns. Some receivers out there that are first on their team don't even have one yet. And anyway, in his first 4 career games, he was able to accomplish all that per stat head, telling us this juicy tidbit. But like
we got one right collectively.
That's nice. It's nice.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like
nice.
normally we have that like
It's so
late
nice.
season push where
Yes.
somebody goes a lot earlier and everybody's on them, and it seemed like it was ridiculous. And it was actually, you should have just got him as early as possible. And it makes sense. The Bucks receivers are old. That's why they drafted him. You know, a lot of people were confused with McMillan looking good last year. This is why they want another elite receiver.
Love it.
He's a beast too. All right, there's another guy who's a second-year man who's having quite the season, which makes me very happy. Is the guy I drafted the most at QB this summer. But thanks to Fantasy Points data, let's look at the top scorers at the quarterback position in points per game. 1 and 2, no surprise. Josh Allen, Lamar. Number 3, maybe we owe an apology, Patrick Mahomes, who everybody was graphic on this year. 5th, Jalen Hurts, no surprise. But 4th is DrakeMaye at almost 22 points per game. And it's not the way I expected it, so I'm really not that smart. I assumed that May was going to be great because he was going to be running a lot. He is the only guy of the top 8 QBs in points per game average with less than 100 total yards rushing and less than 3 rushing touchdowns. Last year, May was 2nd in scrambles per game and top 5 in rushing yards per game among QBs. So there is a very good chance that if you have DrakeMaye right now, we're kind of seeing his floor because he did a lot with his legs last year. I think it was almost 5 points per game. So for him to already be scoring 20 plus points per game, when I don't really still consider an elite offensive line, elite running backs, elite receivers, they can't keep getting away with this stuff. Places like New England, Indy, Green Bay. Like, how do you go from great freaking quarterback to great freaking quarterback? It's not fair.
It's not fair. That says us that are, we've been whatever, quarterbacks. But we're going to talk about somebody. Is he a running back? What is he, a wide receiver? I don't know. Christian McCaffrey, CMC. He ranks as a wide receiver 5 a month into the season. You might think, Casey, are you misspeaking? Wide receiver 5? Oh, he scored at least 16.7 fantasy points in the passing game every game this year, okay? And he's averaging 18.4 points per game as a receiver. The concern would be, can he continue to thrive as a pass catcher? Because he's only accounted for 22.5 points this season, 5.6 points per game on the ground, okay? So, like, he's averaging a pedestrian 3.3 yards per carry, 69 rush attempts. So, can this continue?
I think I could get 3.3 yards.
I could not.
I don't think I could either. But come on, Casey, you could have just been like, yeah, that sounds reasonable.
I could get 3.3 yards if there was if I could walk it and there was nobody on the field, then yes, I could do
maybe
that.
Behind your Cowboys 90s offensive line, I could get 3.3 yards.
There we go.
I saw some of those holes. No disrespect to Emmitt Smith. There was a young running back, speaking of backs, who, man, hello world. There's been a lot of us who have drafted WoodyMarks and probably either dropped him by now, or if you like me, a few leagues and held on to him, wondering, and again, I'm a Georgia fan, no disrespect to Nick Chubb, but why is Nick Chubb the lead back in this offense? It does not look like Joe Mixon's going to come back this year from all reports. So this backfield is wide open, and WoodyMarks is very talented. and we may have seen him kind of take over, not as like a bell cow, but at least the most used back in this offense. Season high 59% offensive snaps, accounted for 52% of the rushing plays or the runs, had an 18% target share, and then the big thing, 27.9 fantasy points. Hello. All career highs. And I think more importantly for him getting more playing time down the road, it was their first win of the year. And I think sometimes as fantasy people, we don't account for that part of it, but it's like our offense had been stagnant. We played this guy a lot more, and all of a sudden we look pretty good. I know it was the Titans, but I'm just saying.
I mean, and yeah, and if you dropped him, he might be out on waivers.
Oh, no, for sure. He's still out there in a lot of places.
He is. I did not drop him either, but I didn't.
It was tough.
I didn't start
it was a tough pill to swallow each week. Going, I guess I'll keep Woody.
Okay, let's turn it over to a different youngster. Our unsettling statistic this week is for Bill Krosky-Merritt. Oh, Bill.
Everybody loves
Fantasy
Bill.
owners, all the fantasy managers out there, look, despite Bill being one of the top 5 graded runners in the NFL per PFF, since Austin Eckler was lost for the season, the Commanders' rushing usage, okay? Let's talk about their rushing yard totals. Here's how it goes for the running backs.
I saw this.
Cruz Rodriguez, 98 yards, with Jeremy McNichols, 81 yards, and then Krosky-Merritt, 73.
That's not good. I watched the game Sunday, and I would have never believed that. It seemed like he was having fairly significant runs all the time, but I know Rodriguez, busted a big one, but that's concerning. And it looks like Washington's backfield is just going to be a cluster fudge the rest of the season. I'm going to talk about my favorite dude in the NFL right now that does not play for my team. And we talked about him last week. I said I am comfortable saying PukaNacua is the clear number 1 wide receiver, not only in fantasy, but just in football in general. And he went out and said, I heard you, Keith, and I want to prove you right, because I'm sure some people were going, come on, Keith, really? He caught 13 of his 15 targets for a career high 170 yards and a touchdown, which was big because he had not scored yet this season, despite these numbers I'm about to share with you. He caught 2 of his 3 targets for 54 yards, something he does not really do a lot of, at least early in his career. And you can see that by this being the second most deep receiving yards of his career. He had 70 his rookie season, week 13. That's per Next Gen Stats. Thank you very much for that tidbit. Puka is currently 101 receiving yards ahead of JSN, who's second, and a ridiculous 166 yards ahead of, and I can't believe we're saying that, Quentin Johnston, who is third. Boy, is there a lot of bad takes about him back there, me included.
They were good takes.
He looked pretty awful. He couldn't catch the ball, but I'm very impressive. He was a beast. I liked him a lot coming out of college, but anyway, the world we're living in, it's Puka, JSN, and Quentin Johnston. But again, Puka just miles ahead. And what's, to me, the most insane part is the sight. Just an absurd volume, obviously, right? Look at the yardage he's put up. He's converting 84% of his targets into receptions. Like I said, I just think this dude is unreal. Matt Stafford is extremely underrated and a very accurate quarterback. And it's just like a perfect combination. It's Cooper Kupp on steroids, because no disrespect to Cooper Kupp, like circa 2021, he's not 6'4" and can run like Puka. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's crazy unfair.
It is.
To go from that to, that's crazy unfair. All right. Here's a fun guy. Here's a fun guy who likes to flip. He's making me flip right now. CamSkattebo. CamSkattebo is currently running back 16 in points per game average, despite barely playing week 1. Okay. Let's talk about his bell cow usage.
I like that. I like that the sound of that. Let's hear about it.
75% snap rate, 63% route rate, and 27 touches. 27 touches.
More.
Ooh, strong emoji, baby. All right. So efficiency might be a struggle in the New York Giants offense.
I think that's fair to say.
Duh. But this is a unique volume, all right? Like I'm comfortable. I know you're comfortable. We're comfortable calling him a solid running back 2 for the rest of the season, right? Right.
I think so.
And like you were talking about Dart earlier, if he is better than we were actually expecting him to be, RB1 could be RB1 potential up there if that can click.
And I'm not as worried about Scattaboo as I would like even if Neighbors say had not got hurt, because one thing we've seen with Brian Daboll, like I know we all love Indiana Jones now.
Yeah.
He was really inaccurate.
Yeah.
For most of his time in New York, but he could run, and because of that, they usually were able to actually, when they had Barkley and him, get things going. I think him and Scattaboo, as long as they stay healthy, they'll be able to move. They'll be able to run the ball. I believe that. He might eat into some of his workload, but in the red zone. But that's okay. Hey, if you drafted Scattaboo, you got him late, so just be thankful.
Yes, you did.
These are the gifts from the fantasy gods.
You got him late. So.
Well, that was the 12 stats you need to know for week 5. Casey, is there anything you would like to plug or say before we get out of here? I
just wanted to thank everybody for listening, tuning in, watching this show every week. Shout out to my dad.
That made my day.
So, I just wanted to say thank you. We appreciate it, for real.
We do. Casey's dad said that he enjoyed the show and he wished it was longer, which seriously, when she texted me that, I was like, that freaking made my day. We all know I like to hear myself talk, so don't encourage me.
Well, at least one of us does. I'm not that I don't like to hear you talk. I don't like to hear me talk. Come on, guys.
I like to hear you talk, but and I think other people do too. But
appreciate it.
Well, I enjoy doing this every week with you. You're the best. Your dog's the best too.
You can hear him.
He's okay. He's just excited. He knows.
He's mad because he's mad. He wants to go outside.
He wants to go outside?
He wants to go outside.
Y'all got like a fenced-in backyard?
Yes. I'm going to let him out whenever I'm done with this.
That's awesome. That's the one thing I hate we don't have for our dogs. That's why we go to the in-laws. They got a fenced-in backyard. They love it. And I'm like, man, we need a fence in our backyard. He loves it.
But he's knocking on the door as soon as he's out there. He's like, all right, I'm going to come in. You're not coming out with me? So.
My mom's got a French bulldog that they just got. It literally rings a bell. Like they have a bell hung out when it wants to go out, it'll ring the bell. It's great when it's going to the restroom.
Yeah.
There's, like my dad said, about 50% of the time, she just wants to go outside and F around, right? So, but she's still just banging the bell.
Hey, you finally have to take that thing away.
That's what I told Dad. I was like, just don't put the bell there. Like, put a sock. She'll figure it out. She's a smart girl. But I do. I really enjoy doing this with you. You're the best. Fantasy Six Pack's the best. Be sure to follow, subscribe, etc. You know the deal by now.
You do.
And we'll be back for week 6 of the stats you need to know. We'll see you guys soon.